Look at the modern operating room. We can now reach deep inside a patient's brain to eliminate disease without a single physical incision, without a drop of blood, and without a scalpel. When we see this level of precision, we tend to marvel at the machinery. We assume the robotic assistants and AI displays are doing the heavy lifting. But machines don't create themselves out of thin air. To understand how we achieved this kind of medical capability, we have to reverse engineer the operating room, peeling back the technology layer by layer. Strip away the polished metal and the code, and you find a hidden lineage of Black architects. Their foundational discoveries form the load-bearing pillars that hold up the entire field of precision medicine. Long before an algorithm could assist a surgeon, human beings had to break through massive institutional barriers just to enter the room. Alexa Canady stepped into the surgical theater when the medical establishment told her she didn't belong. She took the brain in her own hands. By navigating the intense complexity of neurosurgery, she defined the exacting human standard of precision that today's robotic systems are built to mimic. But to remove the blade entirely, non-invasive surgery requires a coordinate system. A machine cannot target a tumor through a closed skull unless it has an absolute spatial map of the space inside. That concept of spatial calculation traces back to Gladys West. She commanded enormous computational power, programming these massive IBM mainframes to measure complex, irregular objects that humans could barely comprehend. She cracked the mathematical models mapping the Earth's true irregular curvature. Her calculations locked onto exact coordinates, creating the spatial foundation for GPS. That logic scales down to the millimeter. Spatial tracking systems guiding lasers through a human skull rely on her exact mathematical principles. Without Gladys West plotting the coordinates of the globe, the pinpoint accuracy needed to navigate the mind would remain impossible. Knowing the location is only half the battle. How do doctors cut through tissue without using a physical blade? The answer is directed light. Lewis Latimer treated light as an engineering challenge. He moved past the fragility of early filaments to create a surgical tool of extreme precision. He figured out how to engineer the carbon filament. He tamed the energy, turning light into a predictable, enduring force rather than a brief, chaotic flash. With directed light and radiation therapies emerging, science faced another hurdle. Researchers needed a way to test these powerful therapies safely without harming living patients. Henrietta provided the biological canvas. Her humoral cells became the proving ground for all modern neurological therapies. Her continuously replicating cells absorbed the harsh trial and error of medical research, ensuring that future patients would survive the precise treatments designed to save them. We have to dig to the very bottom of the surgical stack. Before lasers or spatial math could heal the brain, the human body simply had to survive the intense biological trauma of the attempt. Dr. Charles Drew is the architect of that baseline survival. He laid the bedrock that supports the entire structure of modern surgery. Whole blood degrades quickly. Drew solved this biological clock by separating the plasma from the rest of the blood, stripping away the components that spoil and extending its shelf life dramatically. This single biological extraction scaled into massive international supply chains. It allowed hospitals to stockpile vital fluids and maintain vast blood banks ready for any emergency. Without Drew's stored blood acting as the ultimate biological safety net for patients under the knife, modern surgery simply cannot exist. That futuristic operating room is a vertical assembly of breakthroughs from across a century. The AI targeting the tumor is running Gladys West's spatial math. The surgical laser doing the cutting relies entirely on Lewis Latimer's stabilized light. The underlying therapies were perfected on Henrietta Lacks's immortal cells. The biological safety net keeping the patient alive is Charles Drew's blood preservation. And the ambition driving it all stems from Alexa Canady. This invisible infrastructure didn't stop in the past. It actively evolved, feeding directly into the modern computational power and molecular science, driven by minds like April Erickson, Mark Dean, and Kizzmekia Corbett. Innovation in medicine relies entirely on recognizing the brilliant Black minds that built the systems we depend on every single day. These hidden architects made our modern medical miracles possible.
Their lineage of intelligence engineered human survival. This history is our direct inheritance.